What's going on, everyone, and welcome to episode number 10 of the Overcaffeinated Overqualified podcast with myself, Ryan, and David, or ChefDeMarco.
Hello, hello.
How are we doing today, David?
Man, feeling pretty good. Pretty good. How are you feeling?
Really good, all things considered. Thursday night, going to the weekend, feels pretty good. So today we have a very special guest with us, Corey, longtime friend and gamer enthusiast. Gamer enthusiast. We'll call it that, I guess. He's okay. He's
You got to say what he's
so.
going to school for.
I prefer strikingly mediocre at best.
Average, subpar at best. At least he's honest. So how are you doing today, Corey?
Yeah. School all week. Got no idea what's going on half the time. Just, sometimes they'll be like, hey, here's a project due. Okay. Whatever you say, boss.
Yeah, they just throw you in there out of nowhere, and you just gotta, just go with what you got, I guess.
Yeah. A lot of work, that's for sure.
Corey, share everyone what you're going to school for, because I find that very interesting.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so I am going to school for cybersecurity. Now, anyone who's been paying attention in the last few years, that field has really blown up, to say the least.
I agree.
I think the current statistics is currently in the United States there are over 1 million unfulfilled cybersecurity positions in the United States alone.
Jeez,
that's a big job pool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a pretty big number.
Yeah, and just expand that to the rest of the world, and the type of threats that are coming in and coming out all over the place. Just the other day, NordVPN got hacked.
Oh, did they?
And, yeah.
Was that this week?
Yeah, a couple days ago.
I guess I didn't see anything about it yet.
Yeah, there was from what I heard about it, it's like a third-party server that they had running from a third party got infiltrated.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think there's currently data on how much information was accessed, but it happened.
Yeah, it still happened, regardless of how much or what the scale was. The fact that it happened, something that's supposed to prevent that from happening.
Well, VPNs are really only there to
protect, right?
Yeah, pretty much VPNs encrypt your data that is being sent to and from if you're on a network. So say if you're in a Starbucks, right?
Mm-hmm.
Any old schmuck, with a Wi-Fi dongle can set it up to take in packets and see all the traffic that is, coming in and out on that, free Starbucks Wi-Fi network.
Yeah.
But a VPN encrypts that data, so if they were to pick up those packets, it would just be a jumbled mess, and there would be no reasonable way for them to decrypt it and find out what you're doing.
Okay. So, with that idea being said, so if you use Wi-Fi, would it be better then, in a sense, to just use your data instead of the Wi-Fi?
Cellular data?
Yeah.
No.
In a situation like that, is it any better in a sense to not go on a Wi-Fi situation like that and just use
cellular data is
go ahead,
quote unquote encrypted,
but it's probably not.
The encryption method has been broken, so it's
I was gonna say that
totally secure.
I was thinking that in a way, assuming that even if it, like you say, it is secure with quotes there, that they would still, the companies itself probably sell data to whoever, for advertising purposes and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Because we all know how the privacy stuff goes when it comes to companies selling your data, and search history and all that kind of stuff. So
yeah, I know some VPN companies keep logs of their what's going on just based off of laws, so they could get subpoenaed and get those logs of information.
Okay.
But if I'm correct, NordVPN is in a country that doesn't have those types of laws. So they could be like, look, we don't have any logs if they were to get subpoenaed by
Okay.
governments.
And by now, they probably have a law around it so they can just not get busted.
Well, it's not like the fact that they get busted, it's totally legal. It just kind of goes to help with your personal safety, I guess, on the internet.
So they
Your data of what you're doing is not being saved on any logs for anyone to steal or
Access.
use against you in any criminal way.
So did they crack the encryption then, or because I'm assuming when the information was leaked.
As far as I know about NordVPN, from what I've heard is that they buy out a third-party server, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And that third party, their server got infiltrated. So it's not that like their encryption method has been cracked. It's just they got in through like a third party that they rent out a server for or something like that.
Okay. So yeah, it's not like it wasn't like a direct thing. It was like, the thing of a thing.
Yeah.
But they were still kind of responsible for it because
it still tarnishes their name a little bit.
Yeah.
Because it's,
Yeah.
So we are accepting full sponsorship from ExpressVPN, not NordVPN. We do not endorse NordVPN at all.
No. Hey. VPNs are good.
Hey, there goes NordVPN sponsorships down the drain.
Gone.
Just like that. So, do you know how to make a VPN?
Well,
or like how I don't even know how that works.
I know a little bit of the mathematics behind encryption.
Mm-hmm.
And let's just say it pretty much is magic math. The math requires such a different way of thinking, and the numbers are so big that you wouldn't be able to do it as a person, and it would take long periods of time for a computer.
Okay.
Interesting.
If I'm correct, the RSA encryption requires like really large numbers with like uniquely prime, so it's just not a reasonable thing to guess.
Yeah, very complex, extremely complex.
Yeah,
it's more or less
interesting.
The way of saying it. So talking about this whole VPN situation and people hacking things, David, we were talking earlier before the show, and we both had said that we both listened and watched the last Joe Rogan podcast with Edward Snowden. Obviously, I'm assuming a lot of people have heard of who Snowden is. And I mean, the stuff that he's been involved with and the stuff that he exposed about the government it's probably like 6 years old now. I think it came out in like 2013 or 2014.
2008.
Not 100% sure.
Mm-hmm.
But that was a very interesting thing to watch, to listen to. Obviously, I don't know if some people know, but they made a movie about him a while ago. But he also has written books about everything that he went through and what he did and stuff like that. So those are definitely like cool reads, I guess. I haven't read any of them yet.
Sex at Dawn is one of them.
Yeah. Just from what, him going on the podcast with like Joe Rogan and just kind of like expressing like what's going on. Obviously in the world of like what the government does, that I guess for a long time, a lot of people were still like oblivious to, and even still now we're kind of oblivious to. And I think it's just, I don't want to say safe to say, but if you don't think that you're always being watched in a sense, then you kind of don't really know what's going on, because the whole concept of the internet, is once you put something, it's like a cloud, right? Once you put something out into that cloud, it's there forever. There's no getting rid of it. It's there. And I guess you could say with the way government works and just with the way that they can do things, they just go out there and can get whatever information they want. And since it's the government, there's no real way to say that they can't do that, because obviously they say that they're doing it in the best interest of
Well,
us, the people. But
I guess if I can jump in a little bit on this, so it's not just the government; it's big
companies probably.
corporations as well.
Yeah.
Oh, definitely, for sure, they're selling your information and everything like that. But I don't think anyone ever. I think part of it is none of us ever really expected anything like this. Because if you think
Yeah.
about the internet boom, right? Home use of the internet didn't catch on until 95 maybe,
Yeah, it wasn't
right?
mainstream until like the early to mid 2000s.
Yeah, so no one has ever really fathomed anything like that before.
Mm-hmm.
And now all of a sudden everything that's going on has been thrown into the mainstream,
Mm-hmm.
and it's one of those problems that, I guess me as like a cybersecurity student and soon to be professional is going to have to try to overcome.
Yeah,
Like,
so like I guess maybe I'm thinking about this, like, so you kind of saying it like that. So you being in a field to where you're trying to secure, we'll say, companies' data and information from being able to be accessed from, we'll call it, the BK Randy, someone who just wants to go in there and fuck with shit or
yeah, anyone
mess
trying
with
to make
stuff.
a buck.
Yeah, or get their information and sell it to someone else, private information or something like that. You're trying to, like, in a sense, in a way, you're trying to, like, protect companies from the government or people from what these programs that have been created are capable of doing when it comes to accessing personal information, and even in a sense companies' information, like we could even say smaller companies' information. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and here's the kicker. The In my eyes at least, the biggest security flaw is the individual.
Yep.
It is,
I was gonna say that.
if somebody really wants to target you
Mm-hmm.
or a company, they will find a way in, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, I actually was just having this conversation with uh, someone the other night, and they didn't really understand what phishing was. And phishing is a directed attempt to try to get you to click on a link,
Mm-hmm.
that looks legit, but it's actually not, and it either redirects you to a page to let you enter your credentials, or downloads some malicious software onto your computer.
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm.
So it's definitely comes down to the individual
Yeah.
in that sense.
Mm-hmm. I guess that's definitely something I'm sure almost everyone could say that they've done at some point or another.
Yeah.
I remember this was like a while ago. It was like an Adobe update that wasn't real. It was like install this, click the Adobe update, and then I had to reinstall Windows because my computer was it was gone.
Yeah.
And then after that, I proceeded to
is-
never ever click on anything ever again.
Yeah,
Because yeah.
it happens in an instant.
Mm-hmm.
And it can happen to anyone. You could be the most knowledgeable person in the field,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like our program director for cybersecurity a couple years ago. He was on his personal machine at the university, and the university just got a new website at the time, right? And he went to the website, and it was all like a jumbled mess, text, wasn't looking right.
Yeah.
But a little pop-up, and he said it looked totally legit, like it looked like it was from Google. Download this Google font
Plugin or
pack,
whatever.
Google
Yeah.
font pack or whatever it said. And without thinking, he clicks on it, and just like that, he has a ransomware on his machine.
Yeah.
And luckily, he had the knowledge to understand that, oh, I just let in a ransomware. I'm gonna disconnect from the network before it spreads.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
But it can happen to anyone.
Yeah, that's something that, like, that's obviously when you bring up an example like that, it really lets you understand why when you work for companies and stuff, why internet access and things like that are so strict, especially when it comes to what you're able to access, and how for a lot of companies, like, you were not able to download, click, or do anything in those sorts
Yeah,
without, like, your IT person, or
you're pretty much given
yeah,
read-only privileges.
yeah, unless, like, it's like a thing that they roll out through their network and it's like a force update. But other than that, you can't even click on things like that. Like, they
Yeah,
don't even let computers do that or let you do that. But so those kind of things like don't happen because, like you said, it can happen to anyone, and you, as a company or as a corporation, you can't risk someone just having to click on that and then getting into your whole network and company infrastructure and everything, and then being able to put or dump whatever they want, out to anybody, anywhere, at any time.
yeah, pretty
It's
much.
just like it's such a big, yeah, security risk, and obviously and stuff like that. And it's a big thing, and that's, a lot, like you said, when something like the internet has come so far in such a short amount of time. When you think about, like, the internet in comparison to other things throughout, the course of history, when it comes to, like, new things being created, so, like, forms of transportation or stuff, like, is like an industry, or like an industry thing that you could maybe show it to, or like maybe filmmaking or something like that. But just something that those industries had developed over, like, a long period of time. But then this industry built around the internet, it's only been around for maybe 20 years, 25 years,
At least mainstream.
yeah. And every year there's something new that's found out about it that you can do or can't do. And, whether that be exploits or good things or bad things, or there's just so much that's still there that you don't even know about yet.
Oh yeah. You want to hear about the WannaCry ransomware?
What's that?
Okay, so it is a ransomware, obviously. Pretty much, it uses an exploit, a backdoor that was in Windows machines, that was created by the NSA,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Okay.
But the NSA was infiltrated by a hacktivist group. I forget who they were, and they stole the tool for that backdoor, right?
Okay.
And essentially, what this backdoor does is allow you to get into a machine through the network
Mm-hmm.
without any credentials, right? So it's a very bad backdoor to
Yeah,
have.
yeah.
Very bad. So when WannaCry was going around, and I think it was 2017, it was hitting hospitals and
Yeah, I
airports,
remember hospitals. I remember, it's like,
a
I don't.
lot,
Yeah.
a lot of places. And essentially, the NSA created this backdoor and didn't tell Microsoft about it.
Uh-huh.
And especially when it was stolen from them,
They obviously don't. Yeah, obviously they're
you
not gonna
know.
tell anyone about that.
Yeah. So it was a very damaging ransomware, to say the least. Cost
Mm-hmm.
millions of dollars worth of damages.
Yeah, because with the things that they can get access to, and
Oh yeah.
you destroy trust relationships between people and industries, between industries and government. And all those things cost a lot of money to go through and stuff like that. It's really interesting how you mentioned the fact that, obviously the NSA creates this, and obviously they're not going to tell anyone.
Oh, of
Just
course.
Definitely
just
not.
like we talk about Snowden again, when he found out all these things that the government was doing, and obviously they're not telling anybody. He's like, how can they be doing this, and yet no one knows that these things are happening?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So it's like it's the same thing there with them creating this, and then obviously if something bad happens with it, and like you said, a case like that, where this backdoor was stolen, obviously they're definitely not going to tell that they created it, because they basically shut down the infrastructure that they're
Yeah.
trying to create, in a sense, when
It,
it comes to, hospitals or whatever. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
They're trying to
If I
protect
do
those
say so,
things.
if I say so for myself at least, I think something that at least this industry needs to do is become a little bit more open about these kinds of things.
Mm-hmm.
I think we're still in this kind of phase where we're like, oh, we won't ever get hacked. That's
Mhm.
just something that happens to some
Whoever.
people.
Yeah.
But I think something that we need to start doing is communicating that more
Mm-hmm.
like, and be like, this is how it happened,
Mm-hmm.
you know, this is when it happened, how it happened, what they used, what they got access to, how we fixed it, so other companies and government bodies can learn from others' mistakes
Mm-hmm.
to try to protect themselves from it. And I think if we were to do that, we would be more safer in the long run.
Yeah, that's definitely true.
Makes
I could
sense.
definitely speak from company that I work for perspective. Over the last, we'll say, year or two, there's been a huge increase when it comes to general awareness when it comes to the cybersecurity and like phishing, like you talked about, and all those kind of things, and a very big push to explain all these new risks when it comes to like the internet and stuff like that, and obviously what it can look like, and then what can happen when if one of these things are clicked or whatever, and the scale that it can have. And then obviously you can show that they show that scale by showing like the example with the hospitals that you mentioned.
Oh yeah,
So
for sure.
it's obviously it's one of those things that definitely it would be such a benefit for everyone to embrace the knowledge behind it and try to learn from it. But again, that's one of those things that's on that company to corporation basis, to where some people, like you said, maybe still, because of the time, don't think that it could happen to them, when in reality it could happen to anyone, like you said.
Yeah, I mean, it's either, there's people that don't think they'll ever be hacked, and then there's people that like say like, yeah, it definitely happens,
Mm-hmm.
and we need everyone to be like, yeah, it is a threat.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah, so you guys paranoid yet?
I mean,
Not
I don't know if
really,
I've ever been
actually.
paranoid about it. I've just definitely like aware of everything that it's possible and that is
Oh,
happening.
definitely needs awareness. And
Yeah.
So I guess this is
So
a good question to ask. What could like a general person like us that isn't like in a corporate setting or in like a I guess you can even say like a tech startup with multiple employees, what could they do to protect their home security as well as just like their personal information, like with the virus software
gosh,
or
yeah,
you know what I mean?
honestly, I keep coming back to it all just comes back to you, right?
Right.
Don't download anything that you don't trust, kind of be more proactive on what I guess your security.
hmm
Hmm.
It's like, hey, I need to download this software, but there's this kind of sketchy website that I don't trust too much.
yeah.
Don't be doing that. I mean,
See,
definitely two-factor authentication on your machines.
I've
Change your
def
password on your routers. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot, I guess.
so are you
Because
saying don't
really,
use? Yeah, go
antivirus
ahead.
really only goes so far. Like,
Right.
because there's only like a database of what the antivirus is when they're scanning that they're looking for, right? They're
yeah.
looking for like certain kinds of,
Yeah, certain kinds of
I
things. That's
guess,
why sometimes you have
Right.
to download certain ones to find the
right.
problem.
Malware
But
bytes, McAfee.
if it's a new type of virus, malware, ransomware, what have you, it's not going to pick that up because
No.
it's not
Current.
known.
Yeah, not up to date.
Makes
So
sense.
it's antivirus will only get you so far. So it's you definitely have to be proactive in your security. Strong passwords,
Yep.
two-factor authentication.
Mm-hmm.
Don't go to a Starbucks free Wi-Fi and type in your bank details.
I don't even like Starbucks.
Well, you know, uh, what is it? Dunkin' Donuts.
I make
Yeah,
best coffee at home, man.
yeah. So and I guess at least in Ryan's field, like he doesn't want that because I'm sure they could really do some damage to your machines.
Yeah, if they
Hmm.
got like into the networks and stuff like that.
Yeah,
Yeah, like I said, that's why there's been such like I said, when it comes down to corporations, obviously some companies I could say they're smart and they embrace what's happening, and they've tried to get ahead of it, or at least in line with it, instead of taking the it's not going to happen kind of approach. Because the fallout of what could happen if something happens is not worth the risk of not taking action. It's a lot easier to take action and raise awareness than to not do anything and then have to deal with fallout.
Oh, for
An
sure.
issue or something like
I
that.
remember watching something on the news, and this was like a couple years ago. It was a news article like that Fox ran or whoever, and it was about cybersecurity on power plants.
Oh,
Now, if a terrorist group wanted to black out the East Coast, West Coast would be a little harder because it's more centralized, and I would assume it would be like a small area of the West Coast. East Coast, it's like the whole upper portion would go like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, power
And
grids
it
are-
showed how fast. And this is just like a test or a scheme. Someone basically just like flooded
a
the
model.
network of a power plant or some sort of like energy source
Mm-hmm.
and just burn it out. And they said it could take weeks before it would be back up.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Imagine
it's-
that.
There are some serious threats out there,
Mhm.
and countries are doing it to us, and we're doing it to them.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It's a back and forth game of who's gonna get in first.
Who's gonna do what? It's funny that
Right.
you mentioned the thing about like the power grids and stuff. I don't know if you
Mhm.
guys ever have seen the fourth Die Hard movie, Live Fear Die Hard. But the
I
whole
think so.
You've
Yeah.
seen
The whole-
that.
the concept of that one of like the villain or whatever is like using the internet and like
Yes.
hacking in,
I remember.
showing how weak like the security of everything is and how anyone could gain control of this and like basically just shut down the country.
Yeah.
Or whatever. And like the same thing there about with the whole like power grids and stuff like that. So definitely, like I said, it's definitely something that is a current issue. You could call it issue, you could call it, I don't know, concern, relevance. It's just a thing that it's pretty big with how big the internet is. And
Yeah,
it's-
I mean, putting it like that
obviously not-
still feels like an understatement a little bit.
yeah,
Mhm.
because so many people are still slightly unaware of it. Uh, I feel like even now when people hear about the stuff that came out from Snowden, which was like 6 years ago, people are still kind of amazed that those things are possible or happening.
Exactly.
Oh, you don't even know the beginning of it.
Mm-hmm.
So many things are possible.
And all the
Yeah.
snowflakes are just getting triggered about what adjective they want to be called in public.
Yeah.
I mean,
We'll lay off that for another one.
seems a little hyperbolic, but I don't think that's an actual issue. But
There's more things to worry about than these small, minuscule problems that I think are relevant in today's society. Let's just say that.
sure, yeah.
The
it's-
unseen.
Yeah, it's definitely a field that is gonna only get bigger as time goes on.
So I guess I wanted to ask you about that because we were going to go into Ryan's situation
Oh yeah.
about
Thing.
about the big house.
Yeah, sorry. It's sorry about taking you on this
No, I liked it.
adventure of
It got me.
paranoia and
It got my hair on the back of my neck.
No one
standing
is
up.
safe. They're always
Yeah.
watching. The man is always watching.
Ryan, do you want to
Which-
fill us in on your story?
I don't know. Everyone, I feel like I don't know
I'm
why everyone always
interested.
hypes up my stories. They're not really ever that
I'm very
anything
interested.
that like exciting. But so I don't know if you want to call it like a revelation or just like a moment. I had like a moment last week when I was down in Columbus for work. I went down there for like 3 days for like training stuff, and obviously I'm going to school. Only take 2 classes, so it's not in theory that much. But obviously, trying to do this and keep up to date with this, still trying to, work out, relax and be able to have time for myself, whether that's like playing video games or just chilling or whatever. But, time. We've talked about so many times before, like how valuable time is. And so like last week I worked like all week except like Friday. So it was like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and then I had Friday off, and then I work Saturday, Sunday. So like the whole week. And get down to Columbus on like Tuesday, and I'm like, oh God, I gotta do the schoolwork. I don't want to do this. This is retarded. Why am I in
That's
this
how I
hotel
feel every day.
room having to do schoolwork while I'm here, while I'm here for work and have to do stuff for this? Like, I don't want to
It's
be
college for
worrying.
you, man.
Yeah, I don't want to have to be worrying about schoolwork. And so like I went through this whole thing of like, man, is this really worth my time? Do I really want to do this? Like, if I'm feeling this way right now, I don't know if like this is my thing. Thinking about how this is like another thing. I don't know if I've mentioned this before to you, David, on any of the other episodes, but like ever since I changed my mindset when it came to the whole like money thing,
Hmm.
I realized that in order to have more wealth and abundance, and in a sense to have more money, I don't necessarily need to earn more at work or at my job.
Right.
I'm making enough now to be able to build more wealth and abundance now. It's just how am I using what I make now to create that wealth and abundance?
Right.
So when you think about it that way, it's like, why am I even going to school when I don't need to really progress any further in a sense to make more money?
Hmm.
There's the other ways to actually create that passive income and generate the quality of life that I want that isn't through working more hours at work and working harder there. Like you
Right.
said, this idea behind having more uh money and stuff is to not have to use your time to create it, or not to create it, but to have it once you create it. You know what I mean?
And keep it.
You want it to be making money for you on its own without you having to work for it. So I'm thinking about that, and it's just like, why am I even going to school right now? Like, do I even want to progress further or whatever, or do more here? I got such a good gig now or whatever. It's just it came down to one of those things where it's like, is this worth the time that I have to put into it? Am I using my time, wisely or beneficial in a sense? And I thought about it for like a little bit for a while, and I was literally even a little bit, I think, before I went down there, I was like thinking about like what I'd have to do to like just be done with school and not have to worry about it anymore. And part of that comes from, and I think I'm sure Corey, you can attest to this, especially in the earlier years of college, and you too probably, David. Um, when you're going to school for something, right? You want to go for something, right?
Hmm.
The field you want to get into or whatever. But a lot of those initial classes, and even classes towards the end that you have to take, are not relevant in a sense to what you're going to be doing when you get a job. You know, a lot of things that you do, and or you could even say learn in school, are so not coherent and related to the real world at all.
Right. The core
And
I would say
education.
part of it is part of broadening your horizons and preparing you for the, real world, I guess.
yeah,
That's what I would call it. As
I
much
think.
as I would initially agree, under more thought, it's more about broadening your horizons
Hmm.
instead of just staying in your own lane.
I can agree with that, and like I like that, but this is obviously coming from someone who didn't continue on with education like most people have. So when you don't continue on with education, you go right into the workforce and you learn from working and talking with people who have been working for however many years
Hmm.
with however many jobs that they've had. You see what and can learn a lot quicker and easier, what the real work life is in different fields and the fields that you in a sense want to be part of, so you can get a better understanding of like what you need and don't need. So then if you're someone like me or whatever who decides to go back, some of those things that you're doing, you're literally doing it, and you already know that given your career trajectory that you're planning on, with doing what you're doing, that you're not going to use it at
Right.
all.
Hmm.
Well, I
And
mean, I think the best way to look at it is not looking at it as if you're not going to use it. try to learn something from it.
No, yeah, that's definitely true too.
Don't just
And
write it off as saying, "Oh, I'm never going to use this."
You know what I think it is. I think it depends on. I mean, I'm speaking from my experience with the college that I went to, which was mainly, you could call it like a trade school, I guess, in a way. I don't know if there's a better terminology for that. But I learned basically everything you could about from what they taught about just in general cooking. Obviously, I learned about receiving and purchasing and anything about bartending that I need to know. I have that knowledge. But what I'm saying is, I have all those books behind me and I've kept them. I didn't sell them right away. And I think I mentioned that just because I didn't need the money, but people did that. But if I need to learn something again, I could just look at the book. I mean,
Yeah, I
regardless,
actually
you know what I mean? You
keep a lot
keep
of
the
my books.
books to learn again or to reference, right?
Yeah, I definitely keep a lot of my I guess books that are relevant to my classes for sure. Because
Right.
honestly, the other day I needed to refer to my Linux administration book just because I have my own home server that I kind of tinker with, and I was like, oh, what was that list of commands that I needed to use to get this working?
hmm
So it's
Yeah,
definitely a
No
good
one knows what
reference.
Linux is. That's so funny.
yeah, definitely. Like obviously, like you said, some things can be beneficial and useful, but I guess the angle that I was looking at it from is we talked about talking about using your time and what you're using it for.
Hmm.
So when you think about time, and if you have an idea or think that something that you're doing isn't going to be beneficial to you in the future, then when it comes to using your time to do it, you're thinking when you're doing it, I could be using this time to do X, Y, and Z that's more beneficial to other things that I want to do. Whereas, like like you said, if I already have an idea that this isn't going to be beneficial to me in the future for what I want to do, there's something more beneficial that I could be using this time for now. That's not that thing, I guess you could say. But it was like I said, it was like a thought, and I like went through this whole thing. It's like I don't know if I want to go to school now. Is this really worth it? Kind of thing. And you know, eventually it was just like kind of to your point, Corey. Look at it from like the aspect of taking something from it. You know, make in a sense you could say make the best of it, but also realizing that like almost anything, it's not going to go on forever, right? Just do it.
Yeah, no,
Get
it's
something
only
from it.
15 weeks.
Yeah, get something from it, and then move on. And when it comes to the time thing again, you have to remember, or I like to think and believe and go by, even with spending X amount of time on something like that, there's still so much more time in the day that needs to be used to do the things that you want to do. And make sure you're using every other minute and second to be as beneficial as possible,
Hmm.
you know? So then if it comes to you think you're spending too much time on something like the school thing that you're struggling with or whatever, focus on that when you do it so you're not wasting more time on it than you need to. So,
That's interesting. Yeah.
like,
I mean, if you're
you
struggling
know,
in something in school, you should definitely like just take a step back for a day.
hmm
Gotta take your time. Don't rush your way through it.
I thought that was weird too. Do you do anything with groups or like partners, or do you do anything with like groups of your classmates? It seems
Who,
like to
me
me you're no. Well, both
or
you guys can
Ryan?
answer this. For me, I did it like most of the stuff like during class. Even the homework was like with people. Like it wasn't like a solo thing. Obviously, there was a whole writing portion of an English class. You can't do that together. That wouldn't make any sense. But like
Right.
most of the stuff I would do with people. You know what I mean? Is that am I saying
well, I
that
could
right?
say at least for so far online stuff, there's a discussion post and stuff, but I mean that's not.
You don't get it.
Yeah,
You can't
You're
ask any
you're all
questions.
online, right?
Yeah, there's not. You know what I mean? You don't. That's the difference, I guess you could say, in my
Yeah.
between like doing online things and going to school is there's less of that doing things with people or like that human interaction
Mm-hmm.
kind of thing.
Interesting.
But I know I've also said that obviously I chose not to go to somewhere in like a commuting sense because I just don't. I already know there's no time for that. I can't.
Travel
I don't have the time
time.
to drive to and from school, then to and from work, and then everything else that I have to do and then want to do. There's just no way.
Hmm.
It's just not feasible.
I get that. That makes sense. So do you think you're gonna stick it out?
Yeah, yeah. So
Good.
like yeah, and then after obviously like I thought about it, it was like,
Wait, you're only 2 years, right?
what do you mean? Two
Are you
years?
doing an associate's or you going for the full bachelor's?
Well, I'm definitely gonna finish the associates, and then once I get that, probably end up just going for the bachelor's because that's only like 2 more years or 3 more years, however long. I don't know.
Right,
It's one of
bachelor's
the
is typically a 4-year thing.
Hmm.
yeah, it's
Hmm.
one of those things where it's like I'm sure I've said it before. There's no rush to it, but at the same time, when you think of the whole time thing, if you're gonna spend, this is another thing that I thought about. If it takes 2 years to get an associate's, if you go full time, it'll probably take me around three, maybe 3.5. So then you think maybe another 3.5 to get the bachelor's as well, maybe a little bit longer. So that's 6 years, right? That's 6 years of time.
Right.
So do I
Well,
want to spend 6 years to get this?
I mean, I don't really want to say how long I've been in college, but
Well, yeah, but you like
it's
you found what you
kind of one of
found
those
what
things.
you found what you've enjoyed doing though, and you've stayed with it. You know what I mean? Like you might have wasted the 2 years to begin with, but then you found something that you're interested in and you really like it now. You're committed to it,
Yeah,
and you have like your journey mapped out in a sense of what you want to do.
right.
You know, the journey. Like I said, when I talk about what I want to do in terms of financial things, whatever, and where I want to be at my life, none of it will ultimately be accomplished through what I do in my work career.
Right.
I want to do everything that I want to do to generate um, money and things are things that have nothing to do with working more hours where I work.
Right.
Uh, Maybe initially to start now, work a lot to have extra money to put into things, but that's it. You know what I mean? I don't plan on in 6 years working more hours than I work now. That is not the goal. The
Hmm.
goal is in 10 years to be working
Yeah,
less
definitely
hours
not.
than I work now. You know what I mean? That's what I want to create. So when you think about doing this, it's like in 6 years from now, is that extra where I'm going in the career worth the time that I put into it?
Uh, Probably, yeah.
Up
You know what
for
I mean? And
debate.
that's kind of what.
If you get a college education, your potential earnings go way up.
I agree. I agree.
Oh no, without a doubt, that's true. But like to the point that I was saying is, in 6 years or 7 years, once I get that degree, my income level is already going to be higher than what it could be then from side income that I have. Like that's the
Mm.
goal, is to create that side income that will by in 10 years time or whatever, 6 years time, be close to surpassing or equaling that working income.
Episode 8 of the podcast went over a good Grant Cardone. I think that was one, right? Episode 8, Grant Cardone. Um, Interview slash video. And you can basically read and listen to what Ryan's talking about now with the passive income.
Yeah. So like and that's just the idea behind like what I'm thinking of, because like
Well,
I
no,
said
yeah, I know what you mean.
yeah, it's like obviously I don't want to go into it in detail, but like I said before, I got stuck in this mode before I started school, like last in the summer of like I needed to make more money, to have more money kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
But then after getting into like the whole finance thing and learning about things and kind of actually then seeing where I'm at with things, it's not that I need more money, it's I need to be using my money in a smarter way. And then I also kind of realized recently too that at least in terms of this year, we didn't have as much profit sharing money. In like I've been with the company for 3 years, and this year we've had like it's been really bad. So you didn't have that extra bonus on top of what you're already making. So in a sense, I learned indirectly until I looked back at it, you know, what it is like to actually live off of like just, your base, my base income in a sense. So that's why I thought like it felt like this year that I felt like I didn't have a lot of money, because in a way I didn't have as much as I had before, but at the same time I still had just as much. It just
Mm-hmm.
was in a different form, you could say.
Or like real world experience, or
Yeah.
yeah, I can agree with that. And I feel like that's what my year's been, with transition with jobs. I just got this job that I have now currently about 10 months ago. So a lot of that's been switching kind of careers. Instead of restaurants, it's more of a catering event center.
Mm-hmm.
So I've been learning a lot about that, which is really nice because eventually down the road, that is where the money is. So, you know, eventually you could own your own. You could do smaller parties like I want to do, which maximizes your profit, lowers your margins. I mean, I'm basically just going back to school
Mm-hmm.
and getting paid for it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's kind of cool.
Yeah, that like you mentioned before when you talk about like the real world or on the job experience to help, build that foundation and acquire more knowledge that you didn't have before.
Right.
I mean,
And
you also have your job paying for your schooling, so
Yeah.
you
Ryan's
really,
got that.
yeah, so you really have like no reason not to take advantage of it.
no, yeah, you're right. But like I said, it all comes down to
They're
the
gonna
time
pay for
thing,
it.
and
Might as
that's
well
what
put in some of the effort, get a degree.
no, like I said, you're
I think
right.
it's perspective.
Yeah, it's perspective. And when you mention that, Corey, my response is just the time. Is the time that I have to put in, regardless of it being free, is that how I want to spend that time?
'Cause time is money, baby.
You know what I mean? That's all it comes. That's just kind of what I was thinking about. Because the
Yeah.
idea, obviously, like I said, I'm in a hotel. I'm down in Columbus for training things for work, and I'm having to use that extra time in a sense to where I really shouldn't have to do anything because I'm there for work, but I have to spend time doing things for school because I have to get stuff done. You know what I mean? So like
Oh
that's
yeah.
what spurred that thought of the whole time
Mm-hmm.
thing. You know, because when you're at something for work, you only want to have to be doing things for work when you're there, not having to use that other time to do other things like school or something.
Right.
That's just like where my mind was at with it. But like you said, it's definitely worth doing, and that's kind of part why I want to like finish committing to it, because it's like you're already in it, and it's free. So in a sense, just you got to power through those things that you don't want to have to do in regards to it, and look towards the things that you do want to get out of it. And then to your point earlier, get something out of wherever you can, because there's always something to get when you actually are open to look for something. You
Right.
can take something from anything if you want to.
Mm-hmm.
And I definitely believe that when it comes to anything.
I agree, and I plan on furthering my education, not in the near future, but let's say like 6 years,
Mm-hmm.
for my bachelor's. Because at the moment, I wouldn't be at any spot in my life to do something of food science. Like, I basically wouldn't be able to do anything with my food science degree if I would have got it, because
Mhm.
I'm too young. Like, I'm not gonna go to let's just say Lay's, because that's kind of like a local thing, especially in Ohio. I'm not gonna go to them and be like, "Hey, I need a job. I'm gonna discover the new Lay's flavor," because that's basically what food science degrees give you, which is like an R&D role in a
Mhm.
company, like a bigger company. You're not gonna like get an R&D role, but at the same time, you also can do like consulting with that.
Yeah.
So if you look at the trajectory of your life, you don't want to take that big of a jump because you're not ready for it. I can tell you that right now. Especially for
Yeah.
me, that wouldn't make any sense. But if I do it in like 6 to 5 years, I could do that easy.
Yeah, you're looking better in the
A lot
terms of
more
it.
experience, more connections.
Yeah,
It just depends.
I think for me right now, I'm projected for what, fall 20? I think.
Next year?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, fall 20.
Oh, okay.
So about a year from now. And then I think actually I might need 1 or 2 classes to get an associate's in Cisco networking. But I got to talk to an advisor about that one.
Like a
And
minor
then
to your major?
yeah. Yeah,
Okay.
so like I'll have the major in cybersecurity, but because I've taken classes in the past, like business classes and accounting, stuff like that,
Yeah.
and some of the classes in the 2-year Cisco class just
Overlap.
yeah, overlap into
Yeah.
cybersecurity, like
Mm-hmm.
Cisco networking, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
So
What
it
is
might just be easy to
double
do
dip?
that. Yeah, and then where I work now, they offer reduced tuition for master's level programs.
Mm-hmm.
So I might do like something like cyber risk management while I'm there.
What associate's degree do you have right now?
I don't have an associate's. I think I need that 1 or 2 classes for the Cisco.
Oh, okay, so like this is going to be the one you get. Okay.
Right, like I could get certifications,
So they
right?
didn't.
If I want
Yeah.
to take the tests, but those are like
Yeah.
$250.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So
So
they
I could
didn't.
do like Cisco networking, I could do A+ certification, I could do Linux administration stuff.
Mm-hmm. They didn't make you. You didn't have to get the associates before you did the bachelor's
No,
program.
no.
Huh. That's interesting.
A lot of the associate's degrees in certain situations, it's a lot of core classes, and then you take like a lab or some sort of final class to get the associates, and then your bachelor's is more focused on what you're actually going for.
Yeah.
Generally speaking.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because like I was curious about that. So like that's like what you just said, David. That's how mine's more like set up. Like
Core classes, man.
yeah,
That's all.
you have
It's
to get the associates like set up for do the core classes and take whatever electives you want in relation like whatever bachelor's you want, and then you go for the 2 years and do the bachelor's after the associates.
hmm
Yeah. Well, I mean, at least with the Cisco, it does carry into either the Cisco 4-year track or the cybersecurity 4-year
Yeah.
track.
Mm-hmm.
So like it does carry over,
Mm-hmm.
but it's its own thing.
Yeah.
Like for cybersecurity, I don't have to take anything like accounting, right?
Mm-hmm.
that wouldn't make any
Or
sense.
right, right. But for the 2-year Cisco, I have to.
I would riot. I would not sit through that class.
Basic accounting.
Yes.
Yeah, I didn't show
I
up
would
half the
riot.
time. I didn't show up half the time and still got an A.
There you go, man. That's what the job's about.
Probably shouldn't admit that, but
You're fine.
I did that.
I
I
couldn't
feel like there's
imagine
a
being
lot
a
At
of
least in
CPA.
accounting.
I feel like there's a
Yeah.
lot of instances when it comes to college or just school in general where there are classes and things like that where you don't have to show up half the time or just have a general idea of what you're going on and you can do just fine. But then at the same time there's also those things where you actually have to really try to
Mhm.
succeed in that.
I can
Mhm.
tell you in my core classes, if you don't show up, you're just not going to pass.
Yeah. It's like
It's
it's definitely
simple as that. You're just not
yeah.
going to succeed.
It's definitely one of those things where it depends on what class it is and all those kind of things. And college is one of those funny things where it's like, yep, I didn't show up at all for this class, but I got an A. I showed up every day for this one class and spent 4 hours every other day studying for it, and I just passed it with a C.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a little rough. That's a little rough.
Sometimes they really turn up the heat on those classes.
Yeah.
Attendance points they try to pull out. I got a 0 today.
Oh.
You didn't show up, Bob.
I
Yeah,
have
no,
heard, I have heard that.
Yeah, get this, my applied cryptography, it is, I think it's like 60 to 90% all online. He'll give you these PDFs of handwritten notes that he has for each
Oh.
lesson.
Yikes.
So you're teaching yourself relatively high-level mathematics, and in class days are strictly for discussion,
Mm-hmm.
not for teaching.
He's
And
basically a
then-
the other way
babysitter.
around.
Yeah.
What's that, David?
He's a babysitter at that point.
Well, I mean, if you're not there to discuss anything, he's just gonna go through like the question, and
Oh, so
you're not gonna
he's
get much
like
out of it.
he's basically discussing.
Yeah.
I thought it was
Like
more of a group effort discussion.
no, he kind of just goes through like one question that he comes up with.
Okay, that makes sense.
Unless you bring your own questions, then he's happy to answer. But it's not for like teaching you how to do everything step by step.
Unless you ask individual questions step by step.
Pretty much.
I see what it is now.
Yeah, it's kind of wacky, but
Yeah, I think I was definitely the kid in school that would sit in the front and literally ask every question, just because if I obviously I wouldn't ask a question I knew, but you know, if I didn't know something, I would ask repeated questions. Like I would sit there and be like, I still don't get this. You know, can we do another example? And maybe I helped the class. You know, maybe I was the person that asked the specific question that 9 other people had, and they weren't ballsy enough to ask the teacher. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
yeah, you
You got to
just
be
gotta
that guy.
not be afraid.
I mean, you're paying them to teach you whatever you ask them.
Right. You're paying for it, the
Yeah.
education, so you might as well get the most out of it. as you
Exactly.
Yeah. That's a good way
can.
to.
Pro tip.
Yeah, definitely a very good like way to look at education or just like a lot of things in general. Like I mean, think about a lot of things. Everyone's always in a lot of situations, whether it be like work or school or whatever. People are there to kind of help. So you're only hurting yourself if you're not 100% on board with something.
Right.
You know, you don't completely get something. You're only really hurting yourself if you don't man up or whatever and ask the question to get clarification on whatever you're struggling with.
Yeah. I guess
Totally
at
agree.
least where I'm at, I'm pretty lucky because all my professors really seem to care.
Mm-hmm.
They're really personable. You can talk to them.
Yeah.
So, and you have these professors repeatedly throughout your time there.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really nice.
Yeah, definitely. Like you mentioned, that like that, having the same ones or being around the same ones, like anything, when you can build, create like a long-term relationship like that or whatever, you can. It's like they're as you're learning and growing, they grow with you, in a sense. So, it's that two-edged sword.
I totally agree. It's really interesting too because the teacher doesn't know everything, right? When he sees a new set of kids come in, generational, like the new generational kids, they're learning just as much as we are about how to like socially interact with that age group, you know. And I could only imagine, like especially when you go to a 4-year school like a university, what are you looking at the freshmen and thinking? Like these guys have no idea. But the teachers are actually saying, "Wow, this is going to be fun. Like they're going to learn something just as much as the kids are." You know what I mean? That's what I think anyway. How to teach that group of kids.
Yeah. No. I definitely can agree with that. You think of it with anything. Whenever you have like a new group of people coming out with something, those new eyes, fresh mindset kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
You might be teaching the same thing or whatever, but obviously everyone learns differently, so like they look at it from a different angle. Someone might ask a question or propose something that you've never thought of before, so it can create so much new from so much old, and everyone benefits, and it's great to be able to help people along those journeys.
Mm-hmm. Would you guys ever be a teacher? If the opportunity presented itself to teach anything?
I think so.
Yeah.
I would
for sure.
Interesting.
I would definitely be down. I guess something that I actually have been interested in lately is I think it'd be really cool to go travel to like a foreign country as like an English teacher.
Yeah.
I think that'd be something really cool to do.
Mm-hmm.
I'm kind of toying with that idea before like I really jump into the workforce.
Okay.
But there's a whole lot I want to do.
Like a foreign correspondent.
You pretty much would be like an assistant teacher, there to like help students with English.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So like you'd be there to allow students to talk to an actual English speaking person.
Yeah.
You
What
know,
country would you go to?
oh
Or a
gosh, I don't
region?
know.
Europe?
Uh,
They speak
I don't know.
English anyway.
Yeah, I don't know. Someone we actually graduated is in Spain teaching English. I don't really want to say his name on stream, but
Well, their main
that's kind of like where I got that idea from. I was like, wow, that's really cool. That's
their
something that
main
I'd want to
language
do.
is Spanish.
Yes, yes.
So you would have to go somewhere
And
that
then
their
they would also
main
teach
language.
English, but they teach English in school.
Well, we learned Spanish and French in school,
Yeah,
but our main language is English. So you'd have to go to a place that is main language is like something else.
not necessarily.
Huh.
The whole point is he's working with young students to teach them English, right? Even though a lot of the people speak some English, right?
Yeah.
He's there to help them develop that skill.
Hmm.
And then,
develop it more.
yeah, and something that I've also thought in the past is like, I think I would definitely later in my career would want to work at a university teaching cybersecurity or something.
Mm-hmm.
Right, like
That
whatever
wouldn't be
you
till-
want to do.
That
Yeah.
wouldn't be till I'm done with my main career at that point.
Hey, that kind of those ideas and
So
everything.
that's kind of where part of that inspiration came from as well.
Right.
Yeah, no, that's a great thought. Like that kind of thought and idea all comes down to the whole idea of planning for where you want to be in X amount of years or whatever, so you can start building the foundations for that now, you know, and then decide like if it's something you want to do in the future, you plan for that, so then you don't kind of worry about in a sense doing it now or whatever. So you're not thinking about something that's not gonna be a thing for 20 years down the road.
Oh yeah.
That makes
Just
sense.
being able to keep in the present and with what you want to do now, but know that you're ultimately that's where you're going to be in 30 or 40 years when your career gets to that point.
I think I can speak for everyone and say that we all want to work for ourselves at that time. So maybe teaching wouldn't be the end goal for us. I think it could be like in between, at least for me,
Yeah.
because you're
Yeah,
kind of working for the man at that point still.
I mean, part of me also wants to just give back in a sense,
Mm-hmm.
right?
I could see that. Yeah.
I think
I mean, at least personally, I have
Yeah.
some well, not
Consulting
some. I
is
would
a
say
good
I'm
way to do
pretty
that.
privileged in my life, right? We got lucky. So it's like something I want to do is help others,
mm-hmm.
whether that is through education.
That's nice of you.
No, that's great. Like I think that's definitely one of the things, the ideas I have behind just doing this, and is as a sense of educational content. This is my way of getting everything that I've learned and I'm passionate about out there to younger people, to get them thinking and on the path to get things rolling for themselves at a young age as well. The same way that we have, and that's as simple as giving back and teaching. You know what I mean? Like you said, David, like maybe not that the end goal is working for that university kind of thing, but you can still teach and mentor in whatever ways. You talk about all the time how your boss is like a mentor to you
Right.
when it comes to sharing experiences and lessons and stuff like that. That's what he's doing. That's teaching. That's helping. That's giving back
Right. Right.
in that way. So it's all about how you want to give back. Whether that's donating time, creating your own educational content, finding people who just need to know about something and you being able to educate them on something. Whether that's donating money or something like that to a cause or something that you're passionate about. It's all in whatever you determine will make you happy and fulfilled, and however you want to do it. But
Right.
you have to think about what you want to do and then kind of start going towards it, like anything.
I agree. Now, I think that's interesting as well because you can also do like consulting, which is kind of the same thing. but they're paying you to be there, and you're
Mm-hmm.
kind of like wanting to tell them things that they could do better
Yeah.
on.
Well, that's kind
Uh,
of the direction I want to take cybersecurity at least.
right. Yes,
I'm
I
definitely more
totally agree.
interested in the consulting, business, government side of it.
Mm-hmm.
Don't get me wrong, like the whole penetration testing and stuff like that is really fascinating and everything like that, but that's not really the direction I want to take.
Yeah. No, it's good to have the different directions to go on. Like anything, you start one thing, you do one thing for a little bit, and you jump to the next thing. That talked about it multiple times and stuff. When it comes to career, life, everything, you don't want to get stagnant with things and get complacent. You want to keep moving around and advancing and broadening your horizon when it comes to doing different things, because that's how you grow, expand, and become more valuable and be able to do more and contribute more. And that's what it's all about.
I totally agree. Like we said at the first episode, man, what you put into the world is what you get.
Mm-hmm.
And I've seen a real life experience about just like kind of like karma in a way, or just like positive energy with someone that I used to. I guess I'll bring it up for a second, but the person I used to room with is delivering pizzas now. He had a great job and all this other stuff, but then just over time, I feel like his energy just started to spiral downward.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, look at him now. And then look at the other people that are in the situation like me that have a great job with an apartment now that is mine, and I feel like I'm just going up, and he
Yeah.
descended
He
in a way.
He went the other way.
And, I think karma had a lot to do with that, or at least energy that you put into the world, and like positivity kind of manifested it.
Mm-hmm. So he wasn't always the most. I guess you could use the word positive since this way you use it, like the most like, positive, outgoing of people.
In a way, yes, but at the same time, it wasn't for the good intentions. Like you can be the most
so it was
positive
like a
person.
facade.
Yeah, you could be the most positive person and have extremely bad intentions.
Yeah, yeah, of
And
course, yeah.
that's what I felt like he was trying to portray. And I mean, I see right through that, especially with people that I work with in the restaurant industry. You can tell this guy is going to help you during a big rush, or he's going to watch you burn. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you can tell right away. It's
Yeah.
just how it is. And I think I have a good vision on what people like and what their goal is, and like what are they going to do to try to manipulate you to get that goal for them.
Uh-huh.
So I mean, I'm glad I got out of the situation, and it's funny because I speak with my other roommate that I lived with more now. Like, he's a good guy. I've done stuff for him. He's done stuff for me, and he tells me all about it because he's just interested. And he knows I'm interested on what's going on. And I feel bad for him because he's still in that situation.
Uh-huh.
So it's just like I wish I could help you out, but I can't, kind of deal.
Yeah.
But just
Yeah, I think I like kind of how you bring that up with you talk about like the situation and how you're doing better now in a sense when it comes to like atmosphere in a way.
Oh yeah.
That's something that I've learned a lot through being on my own for years now. Is I'm sure we've mentioned it before, but your atmosphere and your surroundings determine so much of what you are and what you strive to be. Like you said, you can project anything, but
Facade.
unless you put yourself in the same atmosphere of what you're trying to honestly project, you're not going to really feel and move towards that. You know what I mean? Just like if you're being genuine when it comes to projecting something positive, the positive things will come to you or whatever.
I totally agree.
But when you're not being genuine with it, those negative things are going to keep coming closer and latching and sticking and bring you right down with them.
A lot of times you just gotta leave, or remove yourself from the situation. And in my case, I moved in with my girlfriend, and it's been wonderful. Like, it's just cooperation, communication, another C word that I can't think of right now. But regardless, it's just been going up. There's no down. We're moving in was the worst part. Just getting everything packed and then unpacked was the worst part.
Yeah.
So that was
I know that feeling.
a little hiccup, but we're good now. I mean, Everything's good.
I mean, it's awesome. You know, you love to hear and be surrounded by people who just want to keep moving upwards and that have an idea of where they want to go and they're passionate about what they're doing, regardless of how long it's taken them to get somewhere
Mhm.
or if they're still on whatever type of journey, you know, but they're just passionate about it the whole way through. There's really something that you can take away from that and definitely
Mhm.
aspire to that. And you know, you can really respect someone and love people that are like that because there's just so much you can take from that. And you know that when they finally get to where they want to be and have the opportunity to do what they, you know, have planned to do for so long, you know, seeing them get that and see the fulfillment that they get from it, it's incredible.
Awesome. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. I'm glad. I mean, are you speaking from your own experience, like right now?
My own experience, you know, just in general too.
Okay, I didn't know if you were referring to like us in the situation, like you were seeing enjoyment of me seeing enjoyment.
Yeah, that
Okay,
too.
so that makes
Yeah,
sense. Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
I'm
Like I
seeing
say,
enjoyment from Ryan, seeing enjoyment from seeing an enjoyment from you.
and so like get the map out, start connecting
That
the
was
start connecting
Inception,
the
dude.
lines and everything everywhere.
That's so funny. Well, that's
But
awesome.
yeah, it's awesome. You know, it's great to be able to go on journeys with people. That's one of the things that I definitely have loved about staying connected with such a close group of friends for so
Hmm.
long is seeing people on their journeys. And it's crazy in a way to know, or not to know, but like to see how some of them still are just in the infancy stages of what they want to do and how much more
Right.
growth that there is for them,
Hmm.
you know. I know I've grown so much and I still have so much growth, but just in the little bit that I have, to see that in comparison to what other people have in store, it's you know, it's there's the future is so bright for everybody.
Hmm. I totally agree, and I want to share a story for that. And I went to Bob's the other day, the one and only Bob
Ooh.
Evans. And I was with my roommate because I picked him up, took him back to where he's living now from his other spot. Dude eats in a to-go container at the table. He's like, "Nah, don't worry about the plate. Don't worry about the plate. Just put it in a to-go box." And mind you, I'm sitting next across from him. You know, toast plate, regular plate. You know, the whole spiel, silverware, cup. He's got his coffee in a to-go mug, food in a to-go box, and I'm just like, "You are one of a kind, my friend." But he's like, "No, no, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it." And to bring it into light, we know everyone that works there, or at least some of the servers that still work there.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I
Oh, are
see
there?
those servers, they've been there for years, 10, some of them 20 years at that
Mm-hmm.
specific location. And I don't get sad, I don't get mad, I get happy because they're happy.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like it's just like that's what
Yeah.
they want to do. They set their mind to it and they're doing it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm at different stages of my life going in there just to eat, you know, just to
Yeah.
have a good meal and drink some coffee and
Mm-hmm.
conversate. And yeah, I get enjoyment out of that. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
It's so special when you can take that like the happiness that people get from things and it
Mm-hmm.
really makes you appreciate everything because it's like people no matter, everyone takes can get find happiness and joy and fulfillment from anything, so many different things.
Mm-hmm.
And you know it really puts a lot of things into perspective when you see how simple it is for some people, you know, to just be happy and to be working towards something, you know what I mean. And
I
it gets you
agree.
thinking about what you want to do and what are you really happy and grateful for.
I like making tomato sauce, man. That's me. Simmering that for like 4 hours on the stove. That gets me excited. Corey, what about you? Let me hear it.
Gosh, I don't. God, I don't know.
Playing leagues with the boys.
Wait. So, let's
Anything
go
that gets you
questions.
happy. What?
God, anything that gets me happy. Jesus.
Yeah. Reading a book on a Sunday night in the window.
My Sunday nights are usually me just
Well, don't limit it to Sunday.
doing homework.
Oh, okay.
Most of my time.
He wants to kill himself on Sunday night then. Oh God.
And then span that across the other 6 days of the week. No,
There's got to be
uh,
something.
no. I mean, there's plenty of things. Got great friends, you know. Got a career path that I'm passionate about. What
Bingo.
else?
Going to
Big thing
Chipotle.
that you know, it's when I'm down. On days that I'm down, you just got to get yourself like a nice big burrito bowl.
Mm.
You know,
Mm.
School's been rough today. I'm getting Chipotle.
Yeah.
Mm. That's what I'm talking
Chipotle,
about.
please sponsor the show if you.
Oof. Oof. We're trying to get TSM to sponsor or just accept us.
Yeah.
That's what we want.
Yeah, no, gosh, something that I've really sparked a passion about now is trying to do more traveling.
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm.
I think you knew, I went to Iceland with my dad.
Yeah,
Last
from the
August.
from the visual, if anyone's watching the visual, Corey has a picture that we have just to give reference to who he is. Where are you at in that?
Shoot, where was that? I'm just east of Vic in that picture. Don't ask me the name because
Place of origin?
It is some crazy Icelandic
Iceland.
word that I probably would butcher if I tried to
just
pronounce
butcher
it. But I'm gonna find it and I'm gonna try it anyways.
Very cool. So he went to Iceland. If he didn't say that already,
Yeah, and there was
which is the smaller one in comparison to Greenland.
yes, and contrary to what their names say, Iceland is more green than Greenland.
Exactly.
Greenland is more icy.
They did that so the Vikings could have like a place to go that was not cold, but it's
I
still pretty cold
believe
though. I bet.
It was near Ranius Fiora,
Whoa.
something
Yeah,
like that.
maybe slightly still butchered that one, but it was good. It was a valiant effort.
Yeah.
Oh no, it was the Jorhole Lighthouse.
He said lighthouse.
Very
Yeah,
nice.
there was a lighthouse in front of me, but
That's cool.
yeah, no, yeah. So there was like some things going on in personal life, and to escape with my dad was an incredible experience for a week.
Yeah.
And
What was
it was
needed.
really, yeah,
Awesome.
definitely needed, and it was definitely something that if anyone ever wants to go to Iceland, I would recommend wholeheartedly, because there is a lot to see, a lot to do, and I could probably
Beautiful.
gush on for another 2 hours
Uh-huh.
on just how incredible that place is. It was unreal. Like, you're driving down Highway 1, you look out to your right and you could see the ocean, right? And there's flat lands, and then you like are looking in front of you at the road and you look over to your left and there's just a cliff just goes straight up vertically.
Wow.
It is insane. It was unreal.
That's awesome.
And that feeling was like that the entire week I was there.
Mm-hmm.
You'd wake up and you'd be like, wow, I'm in Iceland.
Very cool.
That's
Very
incredible. It's great when you can, do things like that, and especially when you can find such enjoyment from it, and all that. It's one of those things where, like you said, the passion for traveling is a great passion to have, and it's one of those things where if you want to do it, you got to do it.
Cool.
There's no reason not to.
Yeah,
I
and
mean, you
I guess
gotta.
part of it is I'm young, got to might as well do it, experience things while you're young.
Mm-hmm. It's all in how you want to. I don't want to say live your life because that's kind of a bit, I think, broad in that fan. But it's all in how you want to do things, and when
Right.
you want to do it.
I plan
Yeah,
on
when it works for
traveling
you.
when I'm older, to be honest, and do it longer. Months.
I mean, I guess in my profession that's not going to be a concern.
It depends on the type of like travel, I guess you want.
Yeah.
I want to like live there.
Oh yeah, no, I mean part of the thing is I want to live out of the country as well for
Yeah.
some period of time.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, at least right now I have no problem, packing my things in a book bag and living out of a hostel.
I agree.
That's what I did. I have a backpack, packed whatever I needed in there, lived out of a backpack for a week. Washed my
Nice.
clothes in the sink.
How'd you dry them?
Just let them out overnight.
There you go. There you go.
That's about it.
I didn't know if you had like a fun way to do that.
No, I just let him out overnight and had to wait. But yeah, I mean, if you ever need an itinerary, just hit me up.
Nice.
We got a backpack guy over here.
Yeah.
Ryan, what are you doing this week, man?
Ooh,
Anything fun? Anything
You know,
exciting?
this weekend
it's about to go down.
It's gonna be good. It should be a good weekend. You know, Saturday, 21st birthday party for my brother. Shout out to Mr. Johnny Jr.
Ooh, ooh. Yeah, shout
So
out,
we're gonna
shout
have some fun there. A little Halloween party, a little bit of drinky
You
drink,
now owe us some of your ad revenue
and party.
Ah.
Yeah.
for that plug.
So yeah, that'll definitely be a fun time.
Awesome. Corey, what about you?
Uh,
Same place, same
obviously.
time?
Oh yeah. When I'm told that his parents are having a party for their son's 21st, you know it's about to be a wild time.
And not a LAN party either.
No. For Ryan's 21st, oh, his mom got us a party bus. We went up to Cleveland.
I heard about this.
His dad got absolutely plastered. He was passed out on the bus.
True story.
Somehow his mom got the nickname Mama Bear. It was
Forever.
It was a wild time.
It's a great time.
Did I end up coming to that afterwards when you guys got back? Was that day?
It might have been.
Might have.
I think yeah.
I remember
I
coming
remember-
to your place and your dad was on the couch just asleep.
Yep, that was it. Yep.
Like, that's-
That was it.
I completely remember that.
Yeah, he got.
I
Yeah, a
remember
little-
vividly because Jeremiah goes, "Man, you smell like fish." I just got done doing like a 9-hour shift at a seafood restaurant, didn't shower, changed my clothes, and it just permeates
Yeah.
every part of your skin that has touched it. And I'm just like, I feel so weird, but it was a lot of fun, man.
Yeah, no, I'm pretty excited. And
Very
I've been
cool.
waiting for this day for like 2 months now.
He should stream it.
I think he's going to.
That would be
I
awesome.
think his brother wants to stream part of it.
Ryan's
Nice.
your brother?
Yeah, my brother.
Younger brother.
Yeah.
I didn't know you had a younger brother.
Hey, you did?
Younger than Johnny?
No, that is my brother.
Oh, you were talking. So Corey's talking like in a third person sense.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I get it
Yeah.
now. That makes sense.
Yeah.
I think he should at least like vlog it or something.
I wouldn't
I
be
think he
surprised.
plans to.
Get
Yeah.
some content, you know.
Yeah,
I
definitely
was
wouldn't-
talking to him about it, and he mentioned that he wants to live stream / vlog it.
Just be
Definitely wouldn't be
careful.
surprised.
Just be careful with anything non-TOS related. Or
Oh, yeah, that's my only concern. I was like, I don't know if Twitch is gonna allow something like that.
no,
Yeah, Twitch
totally.
doesn't-
They allow
Twitch
it.
doesn't. I don't know how Twitch is now, but I remember before they didn't like. They're not advocates for like the whole. I don't want to say partying, but like if you, they don't like drinking on like drinking and all that stuff.
Right.
On
Oh, you can
stream,
drink on
but-
stream. You can't drink underage on stream. You can't
Yeah,
have tits
but
out.
are you, I don't know. Twitch used to not like drinking at all on stream. Like you had to do it
Yeah.
on YouTube because YouTube
Interesting.
doesn't care.
I know they have the mature audience thing now, though, which is you should
Yeah.
if you're a mature if you have mature content, you should have that enabled. And I know Mixer does an age range,
Huh.
because you have to put your age in when you create an account, and obviously you can't watch stuff that's 18 plus if you're not 18.
Everyone's probably just gonna lie about their age, you know.
I will not condone or deny that.
I've never done that. What are you talking?
Fill out the information truthfully.
Yeah.
Of course.
So we're partying all weekend, David. What are you up to?
I'm stretching out for Joe Rogan's comedy show on
Joe.
Saturday. Thanks to Ryan. He gave me some tickets a couple weeks ago, I think. And I'm going this Saturday. I'm taking my brother. He is driving. I will be pre-gaming probably before we leave, and then we'll probably hit a restaurant on 4th Street, which is a couple blocks, like 10 to 15 blocks down from Wall Street, if I remember correctly, on Saturday night, and pregame, get some food, and then go to the comedy show. if I'm not mistaken, if anyone knows any comedy scene, Nikki Glazer, she just put out a comedy special on Netflix. I think I'd butcher her name, called Bangin'. She will probably be one of his feature acts, and then she brings this guy named I really want to say Caleb. I don't know his last name. Both hilarious. And then anyone else that he brings for feature acts will probably be hilarious. And then obviously Joe will do a full hour of straight gut wrenching comedy, which I cannot wait. Cannot wait.
Yeah, it should be awesome. I'm really curious to see how like full that place gets.
Did you see where
With
the
it.
seats are, by the way?
I don't remember.
Okay,
They were
so
decent. I
they're
think.
perfect seats. You're not on the floor, but you're facing the stage.
Okay.
You're
yeah.
directly like looking at the stage.
I'm very particular about buying seats to just about anything I go to.
I
Like,
agree.
obviously, I won't spend ridiculous amounts of money on things, but I want to have like a good experience when I go somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll pay like just a little bit, more than average to like have a better seat. And of course, you can attest to that when it comes to concerts. Like,
Oh yeah.
I want like a decent seat. Like,
They're
this
triple the
would be
price now.
amazing, but
General admission usually. Try to get there early.
Yeah. If I go to an amphitheater, I'm sitting on the lawn, 100%. It's so loud in those. I've sat inside, and it's really cool. Don't get me wrong. You get a full seat, and you don't have to like worry about someone taking your spot. But the lawn is just so much more chill.
I guess it depends on which ones you go to.
Right.
For that, like the sound and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But
But the
yeah.
Wolfstein Center, I've been there before for a concert, maybe two. Great venue. They recently redid it.
Oh, they have? was
A
that?
couple years ago, like 5 years ago.
Okay.
Is that recently? Not really.
That's still recent, I think.
I think all they added was they added stuff on the outside and parking. It wasn't like a structural, renovation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was a lot of stuff. Or
But
whatever.
before that, tomorrow I have a wedding, about 60 people, very low budget, low stress wedding, which is awesome. And then on Saturday there's 2 events that I have to do before I leave. So I'm working like the morning shift. So I'm not done. I'm not working. I'm still working. Just gonna have some fun
Right.
afterwards.
Yeah, just fun.
Yeah.
Best kind of work.
But you're off Sunday.
Sunday and Monday.
Sunday and Monday. Very nice.
So it's
Yeah.
gonna be and I'm happy because Friday is gonna be chill. Saturday is gonna be a morning chill day. As we all know, morning shifts are a cakewalk. And then, the rest of the week, rest of the 2.5 days is living large, man.
Smooth sailing,
Mm-hmm.
as they say.
I'm gonna bring something in particular too. I meant to mention this. Joe Rogan was a big fan of Anthony Bourdain. He's the poster behind me if you're watching on YouTube. I don't know if he does a meet and greet afterwards or like a photograph signing or anything. But I feel like he always, maybe it's just me noticing more, he'll like mention Anthony Bourdain about how he was a friendship and about suicide and all the other stuff. I'm going to bring Anthony Bourdain's comic book he did with a Japanese anime artist. I have all 3 of the graphic novels, some people like to call them. I'm going to try to get him to sign it.
That'd be awesome.
Be cool.
If he does that meet and greet thing or
Yeah.
whatever.
Man, I don't know, that'd be sweet.
Maybe be on his podcast.
I
Should
There
I
you go.
like make something and like give it to him?
don't know what you're going for there with that.
Should I make like I don't even know, like a link, like just write a link down, be like check out my podcast, or like me and my buddy's podcast. That's if he does a meet and greet. I don't even know how it works. This is my first ever.
I'd imagine there's gonna be a lot of people there, so
It's the
I would-
Wolfstein Center. It's like 5,000 people, dude.
yeah, I would almost think that a meet and greet, if it were to happen, they would be like special VIP tickets.
Damn.
Yeah, it might be. I don't know.
That
Maybe
would
I'll
be
get
my
lucky.
guess at least.
What if I
Yeah.
see him outside? and be like,
Maybe.
Joe,
Yeah.
You get lucky.
Edward Chardon, or whatever his name was. I can't remember his name.
Snowden.
There you go.
Snowden. I meant to say that. Yeah.
Edward Snowden. Yeah.
I broke my phone. No. Was it? Did you guys watch it or listen to it?
Oh, I only ever really listen to Joe Rogan if it's somebody that I'm particularly interested in that he has on.
It was one of the first ones he did
But
where the visual was all of the guy.
okay,
That's because they did like the like obviously like an over the internet chat thing,
Yeah.
yeah,
which was I don't think he's
Weird.
ever
I
done that
gotta
before for any of his shows.
I
He
gotta
he did
watch
one
that
before.
one because that's definitely somebody that would interest me, obviously.
Yeah,
Yeah.
very interesting.
Yeah, it's
And
funny
he
that we all listen
obviously
to
has
that
a lot to
too.
say.
Yeah.
But
I listened to the whole thing.
it's only every once in a while that I really listen to Joe Rogan.
Really?
Yeah.
Man, when he's with a comedian, I will laugh out loud at work.
Yeah, it's really just like if he has somebody that I'm interested in.
Right.
Any type of podcast or anything like that, it's just one of those things where it's like whatever you're into, that's what you listen to, whether it's someone you're interested
Okay.
in or
Yeah,
something like
yeah,
that.
Mm-hmm.
If you guys ever want to listen about horrible people from history, you should listen to Behind the Bastards.
Yeah, Corey loves that podcast.
I
All he
was
talks
gonna
about is that.
mention how
The
much
guy does really good
Go ahead.
journalism, and he does a lot of good research, and he's pretty funny. Like on one of his recent podcasts, so one of his things is like he throws bagels, right? And he just carries around like a massive machete in his recording room. So one of his fans brought him in or made him a sling. So he took like English muffins and gave all of his co-hosts or guests like machetes and like sharp objects, and he started slinging English muffins at him. It was wild.
And now that's content. That's content.
Yeah.
That's hilarious. I meant to say, have you guys started listening to more podcasts? And this is more directed to Ryan, but Corey, you can answer as well. Since we started podcasting.
Not really, not any really more than I listened to before.
Right.
I'm really big into Audible right now, so I haven't really.
I see.
Besides, if I throw something in on YouTube while I'm like doing stuff,
Hmm.
I really just listen to Audible when I'm in the car and stuff, and when I go for like my bike rides or runs or whatever.
I've found that I've started listening to more educational podcasts.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Well, that's the thing. Like, I've always been into the educational podcasts.
Right.
Like that's always been my thing. I've really never liked I never really wanted to listen to the comedy stuff, but I've always been
Right.
into like educational stuff.
It depends what mood I'm in. If I want to laugh, I'll listen to like Bert Kreischer is probably one of the funniest human beings on this earth to date, and his podcast just makes me laugh. But it just depends. Like if you've got me turned on to Yes Theory. That dude is extremely intelligent, and it opens my eyes to like so much more into the world. Jay Shetty on Purpose, phenomenal one. He keeps it very compact, easy listens, always less than an hour, 2 ad reads max, and he always does relationship stuff, and I always find that very intriguing.
Yeah.
Corey just informed me about a funny one, Behind the Bastard.
Yeah.
I'm gonna check that one out.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
If anyone has any other podcasts, let us know. We would love to listen and comment about them.
It would probably be to no surprise that some of the podcasts I listen to are security related.
Yeah.
I could imagine.
Cyberwire. There's one actually that I need to start listening to. It's called Sleepwalkers. And they pretty much talk about AI and the capabilities that it has currently and where it's heading.
I think that's gonna wrap it up for us today, guys. Thank you everyone for tuning in and listening. Thank you, Corey, for coming on the show and hanging out with us and
Sure thing. It was a
informing
last
us.
minute decision, but it was
last
fun.
last minute decisions are sometimes the best decisions.
Just chatting, with the boys and like, hey, you want to be on a podcast? Sure.
Mixer
Why
has
not?
a podcast section, actually. Just throwing that out there.
And Mixer will be a thing eventually. We'll see. So, David, where can everybody find us?
Everyone can find the podcast, listen, watch on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Player FM, RSS feed, Google Podcasts, YouTube, Facebook, and SoundCloud. Also, they can find the podcast-specific social medias on our fan link. Thank you to everyone that has watched
Again, guys, thank you everyone for listening. If you have anything that you want us to talk about in the future, just let us know, and we'll be happy to talk about it. We're always looking for new topics and new ideas. So thank you for watching, and we will talk to everybody later.
I can't help but feel I'm dreaming, I'm falling for you. I can't help but feel you're leaving me too. I can't help but feel